So leaders, I want to take this opportunity to welcome all of you for today's session. We're doing quite well so far. We've been able to tackle quite a number of sessions. And as we continue, I'm sure we'll be getting deeper. We'll be getting to more stretching exercises positively, stretching us positively. So our request is always that as we move on, we continue building our resilience so that we're able to keep at par with the requirements of the training. So basically, as we move on, you will realize we'll now start coming up with questions that are leading us towards the project proposal. So if you submitted the self-evaluation, I'm sure you noticed that there are some questions that are now provoking us just to think more in terms of the project that we can be able to undertake. So as usual, remember we are thinking global, leading local, transforming the world. And our belief is that a better leader is a better life, and a better leader is a better family, a better leader is a better community. And if you're to better the world, it means we have to better our leadership capacity. So this is the thinking behind and the motivation behind this masterclass. So tonight we look at two lessons. We look at lesson 5, the 3 types of learning loops. And then later on, Reverend Kahindi will come and handle lesson 6, leaders vis-a-vis managers, a very, very important discussion. So as we start the discussion, there's a diagram here. Just want us to take a minute as part of our icebreaker, but this will also be guiding us in our discussions tonight. How many squares can you see? Okay, I can see Lynn. Is your hand raised?
Yes, my hand is raised because I would like to highlight something perhaps which I need to be assisted. I've been looking at the online, the recorded notes, and my challenge is that some of the letters have been shielded by the right side box, like where you appear and all of us. So you find revising becomes not so much, effective because of those missing words in due course. So I was wondering, is there an arrangement to have the notes maybe through email, or that is what I'm seeking to find out, or what is the proposal? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lynn. Normally we share all the PowerPoints, but we do that towards the end. So from lesson 1 to lesson 16, we'll be able to share with you all these slides. And I think I've also noted the same, so I'll try to probably pull the video either down or sometimes just minimize so that it doesn't block some text. But the notes will be shared towards the end of the masterclass. Okay, trust that is
Appreciate.
Okay. Asante sana. So as part of our icebreaker, and this will also be informing our discussions tonight, just take probably a minute or so to look at these squares. Try and see if you can count and see how many you're able to count. If you're using a mobile phone, I'm sure it might be a little bit of a challenge, but let's try and see. So you can indicate on the chat. So we're talking about learning loops. This exercise will help us just to unpack this discussion as we look at how organizations and how individuals learn, the different types of learning loops or learning styles, So we'll be able to explore as we reflect on the exercise that is before us. So let's see, I can see 24 boxes. That's Lynn, 24. Let's see if we can have two, at least two. Get one more, we'll be good to go. Yeah, 2, 24, and 35. Okay, is there someone else who maybe is trying also to count? We can see. So we have 24 boxes and 35 boxes or squares. And all of us are looking at the same diagram. So
we have 36. I can see 36.
36. So 24, 35, and 36. Same diagram, but different responses. So we look at that. But ideally, in the actual number is 40. Is 40. But you can see the systematic arrangement. For you to be able to get to 40, you have to unpack it, the squares, step by step. Actually, from they're about there are quite a number of steps that we'll have to go through to be able to see the whole picture. So some element of patience, some element of process, some element of details. All this is what will be coming up as we look at the different learning loops. In addition to any other lesson that you can pick from this, we'll just build around this. So this lesson is important because learning loops mostly focuses on organizational learning, how an organization creates, retain, and transfers knowledge within the organization or beyond. So there are different ways that organizations learn. So when we talk about knowledge creation, how do they recognize some patterns? Yeah, some insights. And you can see from that exercise, if we really have to get to the, we can say the root cause or the real issue or the real number, then it means we have to be able to look at some particular patterns, some particular arrangement, try to follow some particular traits. So this is what informs the learning loops, or what informs the different types of learning loops. So how an organization or even an individual, so we're talking about the different levels of organizational learning, which starts from individual learning, the group, organization itself, and also inter-organization, different organizations learning from each other. Knowledge creation or knowledge retention. Yeah, so both tapping from the tacit knowledge and also the documented information that inform the learning that goes on in the organization. Then there is the knowledge transfer. So this is a very important concept if we loop it now or link it up to what you're going to look at in terms of the learning loops. So you'll be able to gauge you yourself and eventually the organization. At what level are you in the three types of the learning loops that we're going to look at? Again, as we look at this, remember we are focusing on self-awareness. We're still in level 1. So level 1 is keenly about me understanding myself and then trying to help other leaders to probably go through the same process and also to be able to see how we can eventually bring more value to the organization. So we have consistently said that a leader is a perpetual learner. Most importantly is that a leader continuously learns how to learn. So there are these 3 categories of learning loops, which were discussed at Federal Health Futures Leadership Summit in Washington, DC. This is in 2012. The theme was learning for transformational change. So they came up with these 3 learning loops. how organizations, how individuals, and how teams learn. So the three categories of learning loops. The first one is what is referred to as single loop learning. Single loop learning. And this focuses on being able to know what you are supposed to learn and undertake and undertake the learning, or basically even if we are talking about offering a solution. So we look at what do I need to do? What do I need to offer as a solution? So it's one-sided in a way, it's one directional. And the key word is what. It focuses on what. So you just want to know what you need to do, and then you undertake or you do whatever it is you are required to do. So it's about following the rules without questioning. It's about getting knowledge without sometimes looking at the patterns. It's about picking the knowledge as it is without probably even critiquing. So this is the first level or the first category of learning. Then we have the double loop learning. Here is about changing the rules. So we know what we're supposed to learn or what we're supposed to undertake. But again, we also ask the second question, how? So these are more advanced level when it comes to learning. So yes, so I look at what am I supposed to learn, but I also need to know what is the approach, what is the strategy, how do I go about the process. And then triple loop learning is about learning how to learn, the highest level of organizational learning. This is an organization that has gotten to a level where they are critically looking at the patterns, looking at what is happening, picking lessons throughout. Even failure becomes a key part of a lesson in that organization. There's a time I was attending a certain forum, and the speaker was saying that now they have adopted a new word for failure. They're calling it falling forward or heavenly failure. They are appreciating it, but they want to see what value are we going to get from this experience. And they were saying there's no experience that is wasted. Even if you didn't achieve the target or the goal, there must be something that we can be able to pick. And that's the thinking of a triple loop learner. Yeah, so we look at the bigger picture here. The bigger picture is why. Why learn this? Why undertake this? Why this approach? So it's more of a questioning, but a very high level perspective of looking at issue. So triple loop learning, the keyword is why. Double loop, the keyword is how. And then the single loop, the keyword is what. So if we look at the single loop learning, you're saying it's about making adjustments to correct mistakes, yeah, or a problem, but typically the problem is not addressed. Yeah, so it's focused on doing the right things, doing things better without necessarily questioning or examining what are the underlying issues. Yeah, what are the underlying issues? And as we'll be connecting later on with the other lesson, we realize sometimes most managers tend to be in this category. Yeah, we tend to be at this category because sometimes we are result oriented, we are so much of process driven, which doesn't create room for a revolution or we can say transformation. So this is basically a very, very low level, especially for a leader. A leader needs to graduate from this and move on to the higher levels. So the common language for a single loop leader, this is how the language you'll hear from a single loop leader. Are we doing things right? Yeah. Here is what to do. And these are the procedures or rules. So it's very directive in a way. So it doesn't really create room for questioning, like looking at how, looking at why. So we're looking mostly at what needs to be done. Then when moving on to the second category of learning loop, the double learning loop. It focuses on identifying and understanding problem, then taking action to fix the cause. So graduates, or this gets to a little bit a higher level compared to the first level. So it's about doing things, doing the right things. So we change the way we make decisions because it's getting to the values, the underlying structures, the underlying culture, and other deep-rooted issues. So we change the way we make decisions, deepen understanding of our assumptions, and it becomes more inquisitive. So if you listen to a leader at this level, you'll find them asking many questions, trying to really get into the focus, because the focus here is how. Yeah, so these leaders can be quite good when it comes to developing strategy. And again, this level also accommodate both leaders and managers. So common language for a double loop leader, are we doing the right things? Yeah, that's what we'll hear from double loop leader. Here is how. So the keyword again here comes on board. This is how this works. And these are the insights and patterns. So we are now trying to unpack to be able to get how the process is running. So double loop learning is a little bit better because we are looking at the strategy, but still there is always room to be able to get to the higher level, which is now the triple loop learning. So what happens at the triple loop learning? This category is about trying to ascertain an understanding of how we make decisions. So we're trying to even question, how do we make decisions, and why are we making such decisions? So it gets to a very deep-rooted part of the organization or even individual. And the relationship between organization structure and behavior now starts to be fundamentally changed, especially now when we get to the triple loop learning. If we have a leader who is a triple loop learner, they tend to really look at the fundamental issue of the organization and see how do we improve, how do we change even what is working. Yeah, they don't wait until things become obsolete. They're always trying to think. So something is working, but there is always room to be able to make it better. That's the thinking of a triple loop leader. So they look at how the organization learns how to learn, look at the culture, look at the values, and look at the principles, because these are the deep, these are the anchors, or these are the, remember the iceberg. These are the issues that are below the iceberg when we're looking at an organization. So what shapes what we see there? These three are key. What is the language for a triple loop leader? How do we decide what is right? Here is why we want to be doing this. And then these are the principles. These are the principles. This is the culture. These are the values. Yeah? So this is the language of a triple loop leader. Now, as we look at this, for triple loop learning, or this category of leaders who fall under this category, they are transformational. They are transformational. For the double loop leader or double loop learning, the leaders under this category, they focus on reframing or restructuring. They may not do an overhaul, but they'll do some incremental changes. But now for the single loop learning, the leader at these categories or this category tend to be more of reactionary. Yeah, they focus on actions. So single loop learning is like reactionary, and it also focuses on actions without really going back, even before the action. Before the action, there has to be probably something else that we need to pick that informs the action. So the double loop learning, again, we are looking at the structures. How do we reframe? How do we create some incremental changes? But for the triple loop learner or leader, they look at probably doing even an overhaul, transformational change to systems or even to the organization. So single loop learning, minor tweaks and adjustments, focuses on just how do we adjust, how do we make some minor adjustments. Double loop leader, again, as I mentioned, reframing, reorganizing, subtraction, addition, just some adjustment, but in terms of the structure. And then triple loop. This is now where we have inventors. This is where we have innovators, most high-end innovators at this particular level, because they will try to question so many things, sometimes even what seems to be working very well. And sometimes that's how they end up becoming, coming up with new ideas. So single loop learning, it tends to focus on actions, I've noted. Double loop learning, focus on the frame, the setting, the structure within the actions. And then triple loop learning gets to the core of things. This is where we have the question of purpose, the question of values. So and basically you can see these are the language of leaders. Leaders tend to use these keywords we are mentioning tonight. Words like vision, words like purpose, values, and when you are close to a true leader, if I can use that word, you will always hear these keywords pointing to the vision, pointing to the purpose, and pointing people to the values. So how do we apply this? I'll share a few examples on how we can apply this, especially when it comes to problem solving techniques. This is one area we can apply the learning loops, as well as also in the context of how an organization learns through its processes. Again, we can apply it even for where we want to explore for opportunities or look at solutions that will be able to address the root cause. So I'll just share on the problem solving techniques, but we can apply this in different other areas. So one of the problem solving technique is the cause and effect technique, or what we call what is also referred to as the fishbone technique. So it provides a tool that is able to help individuals to identify what are the possible causes of a problem, and it will take one to look at beyond the obvious, look at issues beyond probably what is clearly noticeable, so that we can be able to address the root cause of the problem in a very systematic way. So root cause analysis, which is informed by the cause and effect, aims to answer some of the questions here. What happened? If we are addressing a problem, so we'll ask ourselves what happened, how did it happen, and why did it happen, and what solution can be developed. That's the process of getting to the root cause of an issue. So the cause and effect, just a fishbone diagram when we look at this implementation. And then from the fishbone, we're able to document the problem at the mouth of the fish. Then we have cause one and then sub causes, because we want to really get to the root cause. So we are trying to unpack this issue so that we can see the whole picture. Yeah, so there's an example there. Maybe someone came late for work. So the first cause could be people. And under people, we have other sub causes, probably children. The person was dropping children, or the person was delayed by handling the children, or a child got sick or something like that, or demotivated. The person was demotivated. Yeah, and again, we can unpack that demotivation and look at what is the real cause of that. It can also be a machine. Another major cause can be machine. Maybe the alarm clock didn't ring, or something like that. Then it can be environmental. Maybe it was raining, it was foggy, among other issues. So through this, we really be able to look at not just the obvious issues or the obvious causes or the major causes, but we'll be able to get to the insight of the particular issues that we need to unpack, or the very, very detailed solution. The other problem-solving technique is the 5 whys. The 5 whys. The 5 whys talks about asking why 5 times. So you ask a question, someone respond, you ask again, someone respond, you ask until you get to the 5th time or even more. And you realize by the time you get to the 5th, you will be getting a very different answer, probably from what you had at the beginning. So the 5 why, define the problem, ask why, first time, why is it happening? Why is that? Why, again, we continue until we are able to get to the 5th or even more than that. So there's an example there. Someone read through a red light. So you ask why. The person says, I was late for work. Again, why? Woke up late. Again, why? Alarm clock broke. Why? I didn't check it. If it worked last night, why? I forgot to do it. So you can think of different scenarios of where we can look at a case and then try to unpack. And as you can see, this is a process. Again, it's an experience or an exercise that requires someone who is really interested to the welfare, probably, of the individual. And this is now where the context of leadership comes in handy. You will see when it comes to the difference between managers and leaders. Sorry, I'm getting to the next session, but just to connect, because I know the two of them will connect very well. You will realize that a manager will focus mostly maybe on the work, but a leader will tend to be very close to the people. So a leader will have the patience maybe to be able to really go through what we are saying tonight, or what we are discussing tonight. The other tool that we can use is what we call the business process reengineering. Yeah, the radical redesign of organizational process to be able to achieve dramatic improvement. Yeah, so in the change or the improvement must be significant. Yeah, in critical aspects like quality, like output, like cost, service, and speed. So BPR aims at cutting down maybe the costs, and also sometimes looking at the sum of the redundant processes. So you realize that here, again, we need that aspect of that quality of being a triple planner. So we question the process as much as possible. We unpack them as much as possible. I remember we were doing a BPR of an organization, and we took a lot of time to unpack the process, because the participants wanted just to list the process as a block, but for us, we really wanted to unpack them into very, very detailed process, so that we can see where are the issues, where are the issues, or which process are redundant. How do we probably match some of the processes, or even totally eliminate some of the processes? So that calls for a triple loop learner. There's a case here of low productivity or performance in an organization. So you can use the 5 whys or the 6 whys in this case, or even the fishbone. And especially when this is done in a group environment, we're able to get a lot of insight from this kind of an interaction. So a case of low productivity or performance, if we ask why, maybe someone can say, this is just an example. We have uncommitted staff. Okay, then why are they uncommitted? Maybe they are demotivated. Why again? Maybe they're not involved in decision making. We go again, ask why. Maybe there is low appreciation or participatory leadership or poor communication. Again, why? Maybe there is lack of training. Why? Executive leadership, the top leadership are also not adequately trained on leadership. Yeah, that can be the root cause. So you see now, if you have to address this issue, as much as we are looking at the end, the stuff at the end, maybe at the front end, addressing this issue might require that we start from the top. the executive. And if we had not unpacked this, maybe we would even be dealing with the staff. We'll be trying to address the issue at the staff level, which is not really the beginning of the problem. The problem started from a different level. So you can see the benefits of this, just trying to unpack, then we'll be able to address the right issue. So if we can categorize leaders into these three categories: the what leader, the how leader, and the why leader. And basically, the qualities are the same as we have looked at from the very beginning. So a what leader, if someone is a what leader, what are some of the qualities of a what leader? Here you can see they are reactionary. Sometimes they tend to focus on performance so much alone, majorly. They're task-oriented or role-driven. They focus on doing things right, not necessarily what is right. They follow rules. They are more static. And also, they are majorly classified as leaders. We normally say that a leader is also a manager, because sometimes before you get into the leadership or you become a leader at a higher level, then you have been a manager. So you've flown through the level, and you can see the things from different, the two sides. And then how leader, they are reformative, strategizing, process. Here now the keyword is process. They tend to look at the processes. This is where now changing of roles happens, and they are more of a manager again, in between, but mostly they tend to be also be more of a manager. Then the why leader, okay, we are calling them what leader, how leader, why leader, but we're also looking at the comparison in terms of management and leadership, or their inclination. So the why leader is visionary, because here the keyword is why. Why? Why the issue of purpose, the issue of values, they are transformative. They focus on deciding why to do things right. This is where these are the people who create rules. They are people who change rules, disrupt rules, come up with even rules that really didn't exist, because they are trying to think outside the box. They are also disruptive, yeah, dynamic, and also adaptive. I normally say when you stay close to a true leader or a why leader, you'll find they don't really treasure comfort. They don't treasure comfort. And sometimes they get bored very fast. They always want to see new things coming into play, new systems, new processes. So they are always trying to get ahead of issues, and they tend to question a lot of things. These are the people who ask why. When you say it can't be done, they will ask you why. So we need to think more and see if we're able to get a solution. So these are typical, they're typical leaders. So we can look at this from those three categories. Yeah, the what leader, the how leader, and the why leader. So basically, when we look at the triple loop learning, or the learning loops, you can look at the aspect of problem solving, and also the aspect of opportunity, trying to take advantage of an opportunity. Maybe you really want to unpack on an opportunity and get to the real products you can offer or services. Then you can use the fishbone, or even the why, the 5 why, to be able to really get to the real issue, or the real opportunity that you can be able to tap into. So leaders, this is just to lay the foundation, even as we get to the next lesson, which will act as a build-up to what we have discussed in this lesson. So the leadership challenge here: critically evaluate your learning style. Which category of learning loop do you fit best among the three that we have discussed? And then I think our desire is to actually graduate to the triple loop learning, where we're able to look at those high-end issues of vision, among other things. So you can take this exercise, then come up with some strategies, just some commitment, personal commitments on how to better your learning style, depending with where you are and where you feel you need to be which basically we can say is triple loop learning. So leaders, that is lesson 5. Probably I can pause for 2 minutes as we prepare to shift, just to be able to get some reaction from your end, if there is any. Then from there, we'll be able to proceed to the next lesson. So any reaction, any comment, any question? This is your time, please. Okay, as you think through, I don't know if you managed to undertake the personality test. Personality test, as we also look at any comment from the discussion. Anybody who was able to undertake the personality test? I shared a link on the chat. Okay, so that test is critical. So maybe I will post the link.
I was able to do it.
Okay. Maybe just to for as part of our engagement tonight, I don't know what was the dominant quality, your dominant quality, and maybe what it means, so that even the others, as you undertake, at least you'll be having a clue.
According to the assessment, I don't know whether it is the final. You want me to talk about the final analysis that I found that I'm an advocate, or what?
Yes, yes.
What? Yeah,
normally,
I found like myself, I'm an advocate.
Advocate.
Hello. Yeah, an advocate whereby I do much for others as opposed to doing things for myself.
Advocate. Thank you, Pastor Phyllis. So the rest, I think the rest, if you are not able to undertake the test this week, allow me to share the link again so that we can be able to look at it and see what comes from that. There's so much detail that normally comes with the test, so you can just try to explore. We're just looking at, sometimes you may concur, sometimes you may not even concur with what comes out. So just an experience to see where we are and if there's something that we can pick. You can see a quality and that you didn't even know you had, but when you read through and connect all the discussion, you realize they are aligning to who you are, what you do, and what you represent. So it can inform on some areas. For lesson 5, is there any comment as I prepare Reverend Kahindi to come on board? Or we can collapse the 2 lessons. Let's collapse the 2 lessons. Or Lynn, are you, I can see you unmuted.
Yes, I would like to just think without the box and ask in this leadership course, I see that it's like we have a peak on transformation as the ultimate, even as we look at what kind of leaders we are. And I'm wondering, is it true that that is the, what do I call it? That is the really end. Why am I asking this is because in the 3 categories of the single, double, and triple leadership, you realize that there are already leaders as at now, even in this class, who have hit that level. So the question is, what is the challenge for them as we go forward? So that is why I am looking at, is there another level that knowledge has brought on board for us to be looking up to? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lynn. That's a very, I like that perspective, because basically that is what we have been talking about, where we able to get to the triple planning, trying to actually question, sometimes questioning even ourselves and seeing what is the real issue. What is the real issue? So, and I will want just to leave that question open to all of us. So let's think through. By the time Reverend Kahindi concludes lesson 6, we'll probably all of us have digested and try to think through what Lynn has asked, because without maybe going back, when we were looking at the iceberg, we were trying to point out the 2 levels, the tip, the skills, the knowledge, the experience. But again, we said we really want to put weight on this other component that really sinks the leader. What sinks the leader? What sinks the ship? Those qualities that we've been talking about on the lower part of the iceberg, the mindset, which also connects to what we are discussing tonight, the character, the issues of integrity, the issues of communication, the soft part of a leader. As we say, that is what really sinks the leader. So, and some of the issues that we'll discuss in this discussion, they may not really be new, but they will be like triggers. They'll be like triggers. It can trigger something. It can remind you something. I remember like last week when we were discussing about attitude, I mentioned this quote that a bad attitude is like a flat tire, and just someone just ran with that and was just discussing about that even after connecting with him later on. So it's more of probably a trigger, but let's think through. At the end, we'll have some minutes just to be able to share around what Lynn has asked. And probably Lynn, maybe if you can just capture that in the chat in your own way, so that all of us can be able to look at it. Kindly, you can do that so that we can respond towards the end. Otherwise, Reverend Kahindi, I want to take this opportunity to welcome you. Reverend Kahindi is one of us, cohort 3. Is one person that really impressed this masterclass, been with us, very supportive. He works in, he says that he deals with 2 issues. He deals with the heart and the pocket. Yeah, because he's a pastor and he's also a branch manager of KCB Bank, Kayole. So there's, I'm sure from his experience, especially on his role at the banking sector, to be able to now bring the 2 perspectives of a leader vis-a-vis manager in his own way and through the experience that he has. Otherwise, Reverend Kahindi, I've allowed you can be able to share your slides. Kindly proceed.
And when it comes to the pocket, I work for the bank. So I'm a branch manager at KCB Kayole. Welcome, welcome, Chairman. We are proceeding with the introduction.
Thank you.
And Chairman, if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you, Reverend.
I had begun recording. Maybe you can pick it up from there. I stopped recording.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, so pick it up from there.
Okay.
So basically, that's my short introduction. And today we have the privilege of being together here as global leaders. Now, global leaders, we think global, we lead local, so that we can transform the world. Thanks, Lynn, for noting that we aim at transforming the world. And with this, we are believing God that one day we'll have a better leader, because a better leader is a better life, and a better leader is a better family, better leader is a better community, and a better leader is brings a better world. So let's have a better leader in all this. Okay. So if we may begin, somewhere. Want to share this so they can have. Yes, I have this this photo. You can all see it. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words, but I just want to get a thought from you. Go to the chat and give me a word or a statement, very brief one. What does this speak to you about? So in 2 minutes, please just go there and use a few words to make a statement. What do you understand? What do you learn from this? 1 minute to go. Knowing that you are hearing me, if you're not seeing the photo, say so. I don't see anybody having written anything on the chat. And we cannot move without somebody writing there. So just go there and say, what is your learning? And there, what does it speak to you about? What do you pick from these two images? Oh my God, am I alone on the chat? Leaders, are you there?
Yes, we are here.
Well, if you can't type, then just unmute and let's have a reaction. What does this speak to you about?
I would like to react.
Yes.
I'm seeing a scenario whereby the two rats are living in two different worlds.
Mm-hmm.
With different what do I call it? With enjoying different levels of abundance of the environment around them. So the first one is having what I would call a great experience. It is eating from so much, while the other one is surviving on meager supply. That's kind of what I'm gathering here.
Thank you very much. Are you a pastor?
I'm ordained, yes, but I'm not trained.
Okay, somebody else. Thank you very much for that lesson from there. She says these are two different environments. Okay, as the others also think and write or they react, let's assume this is one rat in one jar at different times. That is also another possibility, isn't it?
Yeah, how do we to react?
Go ahead.
I'm seeing two jars.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming it is either cereals that are in the jar or
Yes.
something that can be eaten by the rat.
Mm-hmm.
The rat starts to eat from the top, and within a very short while, it's almost finishing whatever the supply is inside there. So meaning at some point it started and now it's almost finishing whatever resources that were there.
Yes.
Yeah, that's my reaction.
Thank you very much. Last
Okay,
person to react. Yes.
Let me also give my view. This rat is enjoying itself. It has found some nice meal, it's eating, and then it continues up to some point. When it is very deep point of this container,
Yeah.
such that it cannot get itself out of this container. And
Mhm.
therefore, definitely it's going to die inside there,
Okay.
because now the depth can not allow it to get out. Also, given that it has been eating, maybe again it may be so heavy to get out of this jar. So I'm seeing the same jar, the same rat at the different times.
Okay. Okay. As it was with the case of the squares, again, same things, different observations, but all right observations. And you can go further and further and pick some lessons from there, because at one point there's abundance and there is no abundance in the other one. If you are thinking of the same rat, it must have been easier for it to get on top there. And as somebody has just explained, eventually, after eating without thinking ahead, you find it as it is at the bottom, and now there is a problem in living. I'm having a problem moving my slide here. Okay. Now, some of the lessons that others have picked is think with the end in mind, because you begin eating from on top, but where will you end? You must have a bigger picture of whatever it is that you are doing. And I think maybe that connects well with the lesson we just have. Also, beware of short-term pleasures that can lead to long-term traps. Well, somebody said at the end of it, the food will get finished, but you are too full and you can't get out of that place. You might as well die there when you went for food to survive. Then instant gratification versus delayed gratification. All you can see is not all there is. So you need to be a critical thinker. If you're only seeing food, you should also look at the possible trap. So think beyond self. Healthy relations are key. Coming back to our lesson number 6, managers versus leaders. And today, our main task is to try and differentiate these ones and appreciate that they are very different, distinctly so. But again, they also, at some points, interlink. So we have leaders and we have managers. And from what you can see there, at least a leader is the front there, and we see a manager here. They're all working. But managers light a fire under the people, while leaders light a fire in the people. This is the observation of Katie Austin, where managers will light it under the people, and leaders in the people. So a leader sees a better future and is willing to pay the price to bring that future to be a reality. The general major differences between a manager and a leader: leadership and management are distinctive and yet complementary systems of action with unique functions and characteristics. They complement each other. Now, the challenge is to have a balance between strong leadership and strong management to complement each other. Look at these things as you being a leader and a manager at the same time. Since they complement, you must try to strike a balance in that. Thinking as an institution, knowing that they complement, then you must have people who are strong leaders, yet you need people who are strong managers so that you balance it out as an organization. So both leadership and management involve communicating, problem solving, and decision making at different degrees. So these are common things between the two of them. A manager will see things as they are presently, but a leader is futuristic. So he sees things as they should be. He is looking more into the future, not the status quo, things as they are now. So in management, we talk of planning, organizing, staffing, coordinating, and controlling. Now in leadership, the same things, our focus will be influencing, motivating, inspiring, creating, and mentoring. As you can see, leadership will deal mostly with people because you're influencing people, you're motivating people, you're inspiring people. So leaders think people. Now, between the two, as I had indicated, you find both of them must be good communicators. They must have some problem-solving techniques, and they have to be having some very strong decision-making skills. So they come in between there. Now, some outstanding distinctions, leadership and management by J.O. Miller are as follows. Management is generally seen to involve overseeing day-to-day operations, accomplishing goals, and achieving objectives. So a manager is focusing on day-to-day operations and the goals and objectives to achieve this. But leadership spans a wider remit. That includes defining a strategy, vision, influencing and inspiring others to join the cause. So managers rely on positional authority, that have been appointed a manager, so that is the authority that takes you around. Whereas leaders will exercise interpersonal influence. That means if we come together and we have not been appointed in any position, then the manager in our midst will not be seen. But in no time, the leader in our midst will, through the interpersonal influence, take control of things. So managers are inclined to control, whereas leaders will begin inspiring trust. Managers focus on the execution, while leaders focus on people. Managers roll out tasks, while leaders share a vision that is meaningful. So people follow a leader because they're being motivated, so they're influenced, so they're inspired by him. As I go through these ones, I want you to begin reflecting on yourself and see where are you most inclined to. Because I believe in you, there's a manager, in you, there is a leader. But if you look at yourself as we go through these differences, you'll see you are stronger in one than the other. So where is your dominance? We proceed. Managers administer while leaders innovate. Managers will replicate things, same things done better and better. If you remember the learning loops that we have just covered, then you will know where a manager will most likely lie and a leader will be. Managers focus on the systems and procedures. In which loop was this one? The one who was about systems and procedures. If somebody remembers, just unmute and tell us. Single, double, triple loop. Systems and procedures. Single, double, or triple loop. Am I alone?
And for me, it is double.
Double. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Leaders, for me, when I'm presenting like this, I want us to be together. Because when you keep quiet, I may be tempted to think the teacher is on the blackboard while the pupils are sleeping. Okay, managers rely on controls, but leaders inspire trust. And managers have a short-range view. As we said, they focus on the day-to-day activities, while leaders focus on the long-range perspective. They'll be talking of strategies in the next 5 years, 10-year strategy for the institution or the plans that they have. Whereas a manager is concerned on how do we achieve this today? How do we do this? The what and the how. So managers accept and maintain the status quo. They just make it better. They do things better, try to do it better when they are their best. However, leaders will challenge the status quo. Now, coming to what Lena just inquired, you find leaders will always question the status quo. So if you're talking of transforming this, you transform one thing to another. Once you have achieved that one, that which is your best at that time becomes the bare minimum. So a leader will question that one. So today you have achieved, let's say if it's financial targets, for instance, and they say, we want you to bring $1 billion profit this year, and you do it, and you're at your best. A leader will wake up and say, if we could hit 1 billion, why can't we hit 2 billion? Now remember, they moved it to some 800 million to 1 billion. Now the question is, why can't we move it to 2 billion? And things begin there. So the status quo will always be questioned by leaders. Managers do things right, but leaders focus on doing the right things. So in summary, when you are talking of leading, you talk of vision and strategy. And when management, they look at the policies and procedures. The leading, you look at creating value. But in managing, we count value. In the leadership, we influence and inspire. But in management, we use the power that we have been given by the position and the control things so the status quo can be as it is. If possible, as perfect as possible. So leaders will have followers and managers will have subordinates. Leaders will be leading people, but managers will be managing work. Leaders are people focused and managers are work or task focused. Leaders are charismatic in their style and managers are authoritative in their styles. Leaders will seek risk. They are risk and change seekers. But managing is all about being risk averse and trying to be stable. You control the risk. You manage the risk. You don't go taking risks. So leaders appeal to the heart when managers appeal to the head. They are more logical. So leaders are more proactive, but managers are reactive. When it comes to about controlling risk, they're looking at this one has happened, so how do we control it? They jump in there. But a leader will be proactive before it happens. They have a strategy that when it happens, this is the way it shall be done. A leader set direction and managers plan details. Leaders raise the expectations when managers maintain the status quo. So leaders will be asking questions, and we just talked about asking why 5 times. That's characteristic of leaders. In everything, they will seek to ask more. Now, between this, the leading and the managing, you find both of them will have to accomplish a goal. They'll have to explain a vision. They'll have to, at least somehow, some organization figureheads and motivate others and mobilize resources. These are things that are common with them. So leadership, these on focus on goals, and management is focusing on tasks. So leaders sell it when managers tell it. We've talked about risks as leaders taking risk when management is all about minimizing the risk. So when leaders encourage, managers will instruct on what is to be done. Okay, so a leader will encourage you, and then you can have your leeway of how to achieve that. But a manager will want you to do it this way, not in any other way. So see, they all want to reach somewhere, but this one can give you a leader can give you a leeway on how to get there. Leaders go against the grain. Going against the grain talks of disrupting the status quo, but managers must flow. They must follow some operations manual. This is the way it's supposed to be. So leaders motivate and managers approve because we are doing things right. So with a leader, sometimes you may find him be an outfit because he may not want to follow the rules. If you're talking of him not following the status quo, then of course he'll be breaking rules. A manager, on the other hand, rules must be followed. So leaders can inspire trust and foster ideas when managers just expect control and assign tasks. Again, I've mentioned of what is common with them. Further, on our summary, leaders, when you're talking of leaders, you will talk of all these things: change, leading people, long-term vision, personal charisma. They have passion and like striving. Now, on the other side, on the flip side, you'll be talking of stability. When leaders are talking of change, managers will be talking of stability, managing work on the short term, trying to achieve the objectives are set and not necessarily change the vision. Formal authority that they have, the control action and results. So on our right of managers and leaders, when you are focusing on things, you are a manager. When you find yourself, you do things the right way without necessarily asking whether they are right, you are a manager. Because a leader will do the right things and focus on people. When you are focusing on the plan instead of inspiring, you are a manager. If you are focusing on organizing and directing, controlling and following the rules, you are a manager. So you are ready now for my assignments. I began by telling you, as we go through these ones, have a look at yourself and tell us, do you think you are more inclined as a manager or a leader? So let's get to the chart. Let's get to the chart and say, where are you stronger in? 60% manager, 80% leader. Just write what percentage are you in, where are you stronger in manager, or you see like you are more inclined to be a leader. This one is for all of you, so you better write or I'll just call the names. Here we are all going to get to understand. And if you don't understand so far, just ask, because the purpose of this lesson, we are here so that we can get understanding and make ourselves better. I am waiting. And because I don't wait for too long, I'll begin calling off people. Mary, Mary Mudama.
Yes, Pastor.
Yes, where are you stronger?
I think like I am 50-50.
You are?
50-50.
50-50.
Yes.
Great, great. If you are balanced, if you are so balanced, then it's good. Lynn says 60% leader. Great, thanks, Lynn. Josh. Josh, are you there? Bernard
Sorry
Mwangi.
for that. Sorry for the delay. I'm more of a leader.
You are more of a leader.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for at least achieving that great personal realization. Bernard Mwangi.
Both. Hello?
Yes, Bernard.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, Bernard.
Yeah, I tend to be in both.
50-50.
Yes, ile inaitwa multitasking.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Now, has everybody told us? No. Oh, who said? Yes, Munyave has spoken, right?
I think I'm 80% leader, 20% manager.
Okay, 80% leader, 20%. Now, here is the assignment I want to give you people. When we began, we said we need to try and bring all these up so that we try to strike a balance. So identify the qualities you commit to improve on your management and on your leadership. Of the qualities gone through those differences, please just identify the ones that you need to improve so that you can strike a good balance. Okay? Are you understanding the assignment?
Yes.
Good. So that one I will leave it to you. Just go and see that, okay, I am more of a leader. Now there is this and this in leadership I needed to bring up to speed. Then on the management side, I have some I'm not so strong. So what is it that you want to bring up? And work, identify those qualities and commit to work on improving. Then you'll find value in this course, you'll find value in this lesson. So we come to the end of this lesson. And as we come to the end of this lesson, we go back to where Chairman had left us. We had a question that was asked. And we will go back to that one. I'll hand it over to Chairman so that we give our thoughts on it, even as we give our take homes. So for the take home, you just write there. Yes, Lynn, your hand is up.
Thank you so much, Mwalimu, for that session. My concern is about leadership and manager. The leader and the manager. From our training, I'm a career civil servant. We are trained to be managers, and you graduate. And then you go into another training on leadership. So you find that we graduate in that trajectory and begin to operate at a higher level now of leadership. So for me, when I say I'm 60% leadership, then I am in the ladder to gaining more knowledge and exposure in the principles of leadership to a level whereby, I can lead with no uncertain terms as expected, so to speak. And that's why my question was coming. As I get to my peak as a leader, what is the knowledge? As the world of knowledge brought in another dimension that challenges a leader, because already that's a transformational character, and therefore there should be another level that we are hoping to go into. So I found myself having that yearning, a kind of a feeling that, so after I become an exemplary leader, so what? So you will excuse me for that thinking and looking at beyond what we are already looking at. Thank you.
Actually, we should not excuse you, and we will not, but we are thanking you for challenging us. Yes. So, as Chairman said, everybody will have to contribute. Over to you, Chairman.
Thank you so much, Reverend Kahindi. And thank you so much, Lynn. Probably before I close with a question from Lynn, just as a follow-up to what we have discussed, lesson 5 and lesson 6, there's some questions I may want you to think through. Maybe I'll share on the chat, just to try to deepen this discussion of leaders vis-a-vis managers. One of the questions that we're asking ourselves tonight, all of us, is what is closest to my heart? Is it results? Is it return? Is it people? Is it performance? I was just thinking through now as Reverend was going through. So you can try and evaluate yourself based on this. What is closest to your heart within your organization, within where you are, within what you do, if you're running a business, if you are employed, if you are running an organization, a personal organization. So what is closest to your heart? Is it results? Is it returns? Is it people? And is it performance? And if you respond to that, that might give you a hint of probably based on what we have discussed tonight, especially when you're looking at lesson 6. And then the other question is, how is your relationship with work and people? How is your relationship with work and people? Which one has a high stake? So in terms of your investment in time, probably we can look at how is my relationship with work and how is my relationship with people. I think especially in the formal organizations, there might be a tendency of where maybe people are leaders or managers are spending more time either with the people or with the work, so depending with the organization. And also that is an indicator because as you have seen, a leader is close to the people because it's the people who work, it's the people who produce results. So it tends to bring the people very close. And then the other question, the last one, based on 80-20 rule between work and people, which one receives or which one scores or which one will you rate at 80 and which one will you rate at 20? Between, based on the 80-20 rule, between work and people, which one should take 80 and which one takes 20? So by responding to this question among our own personal reflection, this might also be part of the trigger just to help us probably evaluate ourselves, because again, one of the most important aspect of this class is to provide us with the opportunity to reflect. Yeah, the opportunity to reflect, the opportunity to think deep, just to close some time for our own personal thinking as leaders and personal self-care. So I'm sure as you look at this question, they might trigger something, and you might note something that maybe you may want to build more or enhance more. So thank you for that. And I just want us to close this by probably thinking through about the leadership pyramid. The leadership pyramid. And from the leadership pyramid, we could see that we start from self-leadership, then we keep on graduating. From self-leadership, we go to others leader, or leader of leader, is the leader of other, leader of teams, and all that. We'll also look at that later on next week when we're talking about the phases of leadership. But at the apex is what we call the transformational leaders, transformational leadership. And in transformational leadership, we highlighted a few issues. And I think this can also now start connecting with what Lynn has brought on the table. And one of the issues that is connected with transformational leadership is the aspect of leading for a cause. Leading for a cause. And we highlighted some examples. One of the examples was Nelson Mandela. So probably by evaluating his life, we are able to pick up a few issues of some traits of a transformational leader. Why do we categorize that leader as a transformational leader? What are some of the traits that really position him at that level, globally, positions him at a level of a transformational leader? We also looked at another example, and that was Mother Teresa. Again, just among the few examples that we highlighted, we felt that that is also another example of a transformational leader. We brought the aspect of, we brought another leader, that is Martin Luther King Jr. And I'm sure there are so many others. We have our own, Wangari Maathai, as we were looking at last week. So probably leaders, the question that we might need to ask ourselves, and maybe if we can share our thoughts on this as we bring this to a close, is what do you think makes these leaders attain that high level until we categorize them among the category of transformational leaders? And is there a gap between these leaders and where we are? Yeah, is there a gap between this leader and where we are? And what was their drive? What drove this leader to be able to maybe probably sacrifice to the level they were able to sacrifice, among the other things that we can be able to pick from the leaders we call them transformational leaders. And there are so many others. You can also think about other examples, and then we look at critically, why do we categorize them? What are some of those traits that distinguish them? Is it just knowledge alone, or is there something more beyond maybe knowledge, or did that knowledge expose them to something else that was able probably to raise them to a certain bar of leadership? So with many words, I just want us to think through that. And maybe as we allow all of you to think through one or two issues that you can mention, I'll throw it to Reverend Kahindi. Maybe he can jumpstart that discussion, evaluate critically some of these leaders, just to think through without so much, because we don't have a lot of time, just whatever might flash through our mind. And then we can move on to Pastor Munyave, we move on to Mary, and then we'll conclude with Lynn, because we started just to see how we conclude that discussion from different perspectives. Reverend Kahindi.
Okay. From today's lessons, in line with what Lynn is asking, my thoughts are this: that there is no time that you will reach a peak. It is an issue of when you go to question the status quo, you keep asking why, how can we be better? Then you see, let's assume you are the leader of an organization. You pick it when it is performing, let's say, medium. You take it to a higher level. In a year or two, But remember, you are querying the status quo. So you come up with some more strategies. When you are closing your third year, you are working on your next 3-5-year strategy. So the status quo will always be questioned. Now we are lucky because now we have more and more knowledge. There are more chances to self-develop and develop people around you. And also on the technology side, a lot is happening. So it is not like you say, sasa nimefika. So when you are about to arrive at your target, you are setting another target. So as global leaders, we also believe in continuous development. We read more, we challenge ourselves more, we do more. So we will always be having a place that we are aiming for. As somebody taught us that you aim for the sun. Now, you will find today you are landing at the moon, and you go further, land on the stars, but you are always aiming higher than where you are. So whatever you achieve, that becomes your basic minimum. You target me. Those are my thoughts. Those are my thoughts. Oh.
Thank you, Reverend Kahindi. Let's move on to Pastor Munyave. Just an open discussion, just different perspectives.
Thank you, Chairman. I think as we continue to learn more about leadership and managers, what I've just realized is that leadership, you lead from the front. You don't just micromanage people. And you do things together, even as the saying says, that the saying that goes, if you want to go very far, go with people. If you want to go very fast, you walk alone. So it's good when as leaders, we lead from the front and we influence even as we impact the society. I think that's my take.
Okay, thank you, Pastor Munyave. Mary Mudama, your take on this?
Thank you. I think I will echo what Pastor Kahindi has just mentioned. After setting the strategies, the goals, and the water views, there's need for discipline, and there's also need for consistency in whatever a leader is doing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mary Mudama. Consistency, discipline. Okay, I'll move on to Josh Obino. Okay, Josh, if you can unmute and make a comment, the same. Bernard Mwangi, if you're able to also make a comment, can just unmute. Although I've seen a comment from Bernard Mwangi, sorry, transformation is not about the self getting to the peak, but what happens after the self is transformed. Rather, influencing, mentoring, growing more after you. Growing more after you. So transformation is not about this, the self getting to the peak, but what happens after the self is transformed. That is according to Mr. Mwangi. Eda, any comment from your end? Okay. So I think from that, I don't know, Lynn, your take on this, even as we, I know this is a continuous discussion, something that we can continue thinking through. Even next week, we'll still be, later on, we look at the evolution of leadership. And within the evolution of leadership, we look at different leadership styles, which will also build on what actually we have started discussing tonight. So maybe I'll take it to Lynn for your thoughts, and then I'll be able to bring the discussion to a close.
Thank you so much. I want to say that I totally concur with the speakers who have just highlighted the aspects of leadership, because my thoughts are actually are shared, and I totally want to say that we are in the same wavelength. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, leaders. As we'll explore later on, sometimes there's the first level of this program. We normally call it the impact leader. And the impact leader, we try to analyze the different styles of leadership vis-a-vis the impact level. And in that book, it's noted that those leaders that are able to achieve high impact, actually there are two styles of leadership. The first one is transformational leadership. And transformational leaders, these are drivers of change. They're initiators of change. And also they are inspirational leaders, among the other qualities that are attributed to transformational leadership. So, and because of this style, or because of some of these traits of the transformational leader, it's able now to lift them to the apex of impact. They're able to make significant impact. The other style of leadership is servant leadership. And the servant leadership, what distinguishes this, which again we look at it later on, is that aspect of selfless leadership, where you realize a leader is really able to sacrifice to a very high level, sacrifice to a level where people feel like, for sure, this leader is there for us. This leader has gone through so much, and the reason the person has gone through this is for our interest, it's for our benefit. So then they are able to influence people, and people are able to submit their influence to them because they feel they are doing this for their own interest. So it's a journey, it's a process, and I think the more we continue to provoke our thinking, the better, because I'm sure sometimes we just get the light bulb, we call them the light bulb moments, or those triggers. Just get something and it really transforms you. It just shapes our thinking totally about leadership. We look at where we are, how are we offering, which kind of leadership are we offering, how do we really cross the line? Because I'm sure, I'm always sure there is a line that when you cross that line, it's like what Martin Luther was saying, it doesn't matter anymore. But for me now, what matters is to do the will of God. That's a leader that has crossed a certain line. And that's a leader that now is able to lead with the heart, with the mind, with the body, and sacrifice to the whatever level, because you have already crossed that line. It's our prayer, it's our desire that as we go through this masterclass, we'll continue to transition, we'll continue to look at where we are, look at the next opportunity we can be able to plug into. And all this, we are doing it so that at least we're able to make a difference where we are, offer better leadership to ourselves and also to the people that God has entrusted to us. We are just stewards of the people that they have been entrusted to us. So leaders, I just want to thank you. Thank you for the conversation. Thank you for the engagement. Please remember to undertake the book review, because the book review is enhancing what we are discussing. Like if you reviewed the book review this week, then you'll have already gone through the leaders vis-a-vis managers, because that is what we were reviewing this week. So please review the book review, review the books, review the chapters that we have provided. And then secondly, remember to submit the questionnaire. I think this week I didn't receive any feedback, which is it's an issue that might lower the quality of what we are getting from the masterclass. And also we might lose track because they are all building to us something. So if you didn't fill for this week, before we fill for next week, take a moment, just take your 5 minutes or so to fill the questionnaire, the test also, and then the book review. Otherwise, we want to appreciate you for your time, commitment, and may God bless you even as we continue to learn together how to become better leaders, because we know that's how we'll also be able to have more impact wherever we are. So thank you so much. God bless you. Reverend Kahindi, if you can just make a prayer for us. I think today is that desire of how do we become better. And I think we need also the grace of God for us to be able to become better in our leadership.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, in the name of Jesus, how we thirst for knowledge. How, God, we ask of you that, God, in our thirsts, you shall fill us. Fill our quests, and Lord, the more questions we have in leadership, Lord, we pray that you give us guidance, that this leadership which we believe is ordained of you, Father, we shall do it better and better to please you, and Lord, achieve our purpose in this world, for there is a reason that you brought us here. And we pray that, God, you will open our understanding. Give us, Jehovah, expose us to people and material that we may grow each and every day. Above all, we ask for your grace. For, Lord, by your power, Jehovah, we can achieve it all. By your grace, we can all stand. We thank you for the leaders who have come on board this day, and I commit them into your hands, that, Father, you shall be with them all through their lives. Sharpen them as leaders, sustain them as leaders, make them better and deeper always. For it is in Jesus' name I do pray and believe. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
May we unmute.
Amen.
May we unmute all of us so that we can share the grace. May we unmute Munyave and Mary. Thank you. And now may the grace
Of our Lord
Our
Jesus
Lord
Christ,
Jesus Christ,
and
and the love of God,
and the
and
fellowship
the
of the Holy
fellowship of the
Spirit
Holy Spirit
be with us
with
now
us now
and
and
forevermore.
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 Amen.
Amen.
Amen.